Good evening and welcome to Stereo Business on Activision. I'm Tamiru Nimsat. Let's have a look at the headlines. Sri Lanka secures critical IMF funding after successful fifth review. New results framework approved for Sri Lanka's public sector. News in detail. The International Monetary Fund announces that it has reached a staff-level agreement on the fifth review under Sri Lanka's extended fund facility arrangement. Accordingly, IMF revealed that once the review was approved by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka will have access to about $347 million in financing. An International Monetary Fund mission team led by Ivan Papageorgiou visited Sri Lanka from the 24th of September to 9th of October this year to discuss recent macroeconomic developments and progress in implementing economic and financial policies under the extended fund facility arrangement. At the end of the mission, the team said that IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities have reached staff-level agreement on the fifth review under the 4-year extended fund facility arrangement. The arrangement was approved by the IMF Executive Board for a total amount of $3 billion in March 2023.
So, we're here in Colombo for the fifth review of the 4-year extended fund facility supported program of the IMF with the Sri Lankan authorities. We had productive engagement in the past 2.5 weeks discussing recent macroeconomic developments and the progress in the implementation of Sri Lanka's economic reform program supported by the IMF. We met with a broad spectrum of stakeholders in the country, including the civil society, think tanks, and local governments. With respect to the outcome of the discussions, I am pleased to share with all of you that we have reached a staff-level agreement on the economic policies to conclude the fifth review of the program. I would like to highlight that the staff-level agreement is subject to the approval of IMF management and the IMF Executive Board in the months ahead.
IMF Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Ivan Papageorgiou, also said that the economic reforms implemented by the Sri Lankan authorities have continued to support the recovery, with inflation progressing to target and real GDP growth and revenue mobilization outperforming expectations. Addressing the media personnel at the central bank premises this morning, he also commended that performance under the program has been strong.
Program performance has been strong. Revenue mobilization is performing strongly relative to the program target, primarily driven by taxes on motor vehicle imports. Gross official reserves reached $6.1 billion in September 2025, supported by the CBSL's steadfast and good-performing FX purchases. Inflation has returned to positive territory since August, and the debt restructuring is nearly complete. Following the recent upgrade by S&P, all major credit rating agencies have now upgraded Sri Lanka away from the default status, and now the sovereign rating is reflecting the country's progress in restoring debt sustainability. Sri Lanka's ambitious reform agenda continues to deliver commendable outcomes, and the government's commitment to sustain reform momentum should safeguard Sri Lanka's macroeconomic stability against the global trade, policy uncertainty, and geopolitical tensions.
The International Monetary Fund further directed the Sri Lankan incumbent government to improve tax compliance, broaden the tax base, and tackle revenue leakages by strengthening the tax exemption frameworks. At the same time, he also asserted the importance of maintaining cost recovery energy pricing, strengthening the governance of state-owned enterprises, and resolving their legacy debts to ensure financial viability and minimize fiscal risks.
Looking ahead, it remains essential that the government continues revenue mobilization efforts and prudent budget execution. So to this end, the 2026 budget should be in line with program parameters. This requires sustained efforts to improve tax compliance, broaden the tax base, and strengthen the tax exemption frameworks. Cost recovery, electricity pricing, and SOE governance reforms remain key to contain fiscal risks. Importantly, now that macroeconomic stability has been restored, the government should embark on comprehensive structural reforms to unlock growth potential. Effective and efficient public-private partnerships, public procurement, and public investment management will improve the investment climate.
Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The government has approved a new framework to institutionalize results-based management across all ministries and public institutions. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the President in his capacity as the Finance Minister in Colombo recently.
ප්‍රතිඵලදායක කළමනාකරණය රාජ්‍ය අංශය තුළ ආයතනගත කිරීම වත්මන් රජයේ ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් සහ අභිමතාර්ථ පාදක කරගෙන රාජ්‍ය අංශය තුළ ප්‍රතිඵල පාදක කළමනාකරණය ආයතනගත කිරීම පිණිස මහා භාණ්ඩාගාරයේ ව්‍යාපෘති කළමනාකරණ හා අධීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විසින් රේකී අමාත්‍යාංශ 22කට සහ ඒ යටතේ පවතින ආයතනවලට අදාළව 2025 2029 කාල සීමාව සඳහා අමාත්‍යාංශීය ප්‍රතිඵල රාමු මිනිස්ටීරියල් රිසල්ට්ස් ෆ්‍රේම්වර්ක් සකස් කරනු ලැබ තිබේ. සෑම අමාත්‍යාංශයකම දූරාවලියට අදාළ වගකීම් සමග අනුගත වෙමින් අදාළ විෂයපතය තුළ සංවර්ධන ඉලක්කයන් නියමිත කාල සීමාව තුළ සාක්ෂාත් කර ගැනීම එමගින් ජනතාව වෙත අපේක්ෂිත නිමැවුම් සහ ප්‍රතිලාභ ප්‍රමාදයකින් තොරව ලබා දීම සහතික කිරීම සහ ආර්ථික අංශයන් අතර සම්බන්ධතාවය ශක්තිමත් කිරීම.
The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank is lending $52 million to enhance Sri Lanka's power transmission infrastructure. The loan agreement for the Keravalapitia Port L's second transmission line project was signed with the Ministry of Finance in Colombo yesterday. The sovereign-backed financing will support the design, supply and construction of a 220 kV underground cable system connecting the Keravalapitia switching station to the Colombo Port L grid substation. This critical infrastructure project aims to ensure uninterrupted power supply, maintain grid stability and enable the evacuation of renewable energy from the northern and eastern regions to major load centers in Colombo. AIIB Director General Rajat Misra stated that this marks the bank's first energy sector project in Sri Lanka and reflects their strong commitment to supporting the country's power infrastructure and energy transition. Once operational, the project is expected to benefit local communities, urban services and businesses across the Greater Colombo area by providing more stable electricity and supporting the power needs of upcoming special economic zones. Sri Lanka's capital market regulators have convened a high-level forum with institutional investors to chart a path for market expansion. The exclusive gathering was hosted by the Securities and Exchange Commission and Colombo Stock Exchange recently. The forum brought together senior officials including Central Bank Governor Dr. P. Nandalal Vigrasinghe and key institutional fund managers to discuss strategies for deepening market engagement. Central Bank Governor Vigrasinghe highlighted that Sri Lanka now generates domestic savings exceeding investment needs, creating what he called a new situation for the economy. Colombo Stock Exchange Chairman Dimuthu Abesekara revealed plans to expand the bourse's national footprint, noting that only 0.2% of the population currently participates in the stock market. He announced that 4 new branches will open in Kegul, Gul, Maharagama and Gampaha by year-end, part of a broader strategy to reach investors beyond the western province. The discussion also focused on how stable inflation and low interest rates are encouraging investors to look beyond traditional banking products toward equity investments for better returns. Stay tuned for stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on mixed notes today. The all share price index gained by 76.75 points to close at 22,174.74. The S&P SL20 dropped by 0.84 points to close at 6,162.38. The turnover was over 13.3 billion rupees and over 918 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.